Hello and welcome to an exclusive interview here on France 24. Our guest is the Prime Minister of Iraq, Mr. Haider al-Abadi. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much for being our guest.
Thank you for taking me in.
It's been 1 year since you took office, but before we get to Iraq, I want to get to the situation first in neighboring Syria. We've seen developments pretty quickly in recent weeks, even days. We've seen Russia, for the first time, strike in Syria. We've seen France also striking. Do you think there is a sea change happening right now in Syria?
Yes, I can see a sea change, but I hope it is in the right direction. Our aim is to bring everybody to fight Daesh, not to fight among themselves. Now, if there can be a deconflict and projection of resources to fight Daesh, Daesh can be killed off. And that is very important for us in Iraq, very important for the region, very important for the world. So our aim is to work with all the others so that politically, I think there is a lot of political bickering at the moment, which may make things worse. But if we can direct our resources towards fighting Daesh, that would be the good day for Iraq, Syria, for the region.
So you think Russia's intervention in particular can be a decisive step in that direction? Do you trust that this is the objective of Russia?
I think that's what we have been told from my meeting with President Putin. He's very eager to fight Daesh and to direct his war machinery against Daesh because according to him, Russia considers Daesh as a national threat to Russia.
So you trust that the Russians are striking Daesh because the first strikes, the comments we saw from Western governments, from the Syrian opposition, is that they're actually striking the Syrian opposition rather than Daesh. So there is some doubt, obviously, in the Western world about Putin's true intentions.
That will amaze me, to be honest with you, because I know for a fact there are more than 2,000 Russian fighters among Daesh. So that will be very bad on Russia if Daesh continues, because these fighters, they are very, very terrorist, criminal fighters. We have seen them in Iraq. They commit a lot of atrocities. If they go back to Russia, they cause a havoc there in Russia. So I believe it is in the Russian interest to fight Daesh, and I wish they do that.
So you think they're fighting Daesh and not helping Assad?
Well, that's a different story, because don't forget, I think the Russians have invested in Syria for probably centuries now, for decades. And that is, for them, probably this is an important area where they must have influence there. I think they have seen probably somebody else doing a job there in Syria. Probably they want to safeguard their interests, but I hope that will be for the benefit of the Syrian people. To be honest with you, nobody should enforce on the Syrian people the regime that should rule them. It is only the Syrian people who choose that regime. And I hope we should enable the Syrian people to choose their own regime.
Just last question on Syria. Do you think from your contacts, you had many meetings here in New York, that Western countries are changing their focus? They are now saying that Bashar al-Assad needs to leave, but at some point, it's not a precondition. Is this what you're sensing, that they're trying to find a compromise, including him?
To me, that's very obvious. And some of these leaders, probably they cannot say it in the open, but they say it clearly in the private. I think that the bottom line is, what do we want out of Syria? Is a huge human misery there in Syria. Over 10 million refugees internally and outside Syria is now even causing havoc in Europe. The number of refugees who are walking just into Europe. So it's not anymore the Syrian problem or regional problem, it's an international problem. It must be stopped.
I want to get to your country. There was an announcement. I don't know if it was really an announcement. Maybe you tell me that Iraq would set up a mechanism to share intelligence with Syria, with Russia, and with Iran. Obviously, this is not to the liking, I assume, of Western countries, especially the United States. What's this all about?
You know, we have an international coalition siding with Iraq. And most of the European countries, the Brits and the Americans are
without Russia and without Iran.
Exactly. And this coalition is helping Iraq militarily in training, supplying arms, and from the air, and in intelligence and other aspects. but there are no soldiers, of course, on the ground to fight. Only Iraqi soldiers fight. On the other hand, we have the Iranians who are helping us because Iran considered Daesh as a natural threat to them. In my opinion, the Russian position, when we start meeting them in the last probably 6 or more months, they started to consider Daesh as a national threat to them. So it is in our interest to share intelligence with all of these.
But you have been doing so without saying it publicly for some time.
Exactly.
Am I correct?
Yeah, the only time we said it or explained it, because there were some leaks which are inappropriate. That is not our aim. Not our aim to be part of any war in Syria. That's not our aim at all. We are not even taking part in the international coalition and their operations in Syria. That's not our aim at all. Syria is a neighboring country. We don't want to commit anything in there. Our aim is to push Daesh out of Iraq and to liberate Iraqi lands and to have better life for the Iraqi people. And that's what we are doing. So I think we need to do that. Daesh is an international terrorist organization. They spread all over the world. And these countries, I mean, especially Syria, they have a massive information on Daesh and their operation and other terrorist organizations.
Are they sharing it with you?
Yes, they are at the moment.
Is it useful?
It is useful. Some of it is very useful for us. And the Russians seem to have a lot of information. The more information we gather, the more I'm able to protect the Iraqi people, and the more we can achieve victory over Daesh in Iraq.
Would you want a coalition including all those countries together? Is this mechanism maybe a first step towards such a coalition?
I would very much prefer to be all in one coalition, which is an international coalition for Iraq. I've been calling on all sides to cooperate in this, even though on the Iranians. But I think the Iranians want to keep their help to Iraq separately. I'm fine with that. I think China has offered the same. I don't mind. And again, the Russians. But if they want to work together, to be honest with you, for us, what matters is how we can best fight Daesh. I'm not trying to establish, I'm not party to this polarization, this pickering, political pickering. I want to save the Iraq and the Iraqi people. Whatever best for us, we'll do. This is not a coalition against another coalition. We're not party to that.
Are you discussing with Russia the possibility of Russia striking in Iraq?
Not yet, not yet. I think
But it's a possibility.
It is a possibility. If we get that offer, we consider it. And in actual fact, I would welcome it if it can work.
But President Putin has not offered that.
I haven't heard that yet.
Okay, I want to get to the war against Daesh in Iraq itself. Obviously, it hasn't been going as well as you thought. In May, after Ramadi fell, you said it would be retaken in days. Obviously, we're counting now months. Ramadi is still in the hands of Daesh. Mosul, of course, still in the hands of Daesh. What's the problem?
What has been, I think we have started the major military operation to retake Ramadi end of June. We lost it probably middle of May. End of June, we started that. So we are, I think, true to what we intended to do. And that operation was very swift. We moved very quickly.
But it didn't succeed.
No, it didn't fail either. I think we've achieved a lot in encircling Ramadi. Not only Ramadi, or not only the city we've lost, but we've encircled much more area than that, which was originally in the heart of Daesh long ago. And we are doing much more than that. But what happened this summer in particular? The temperatures were so high. I've never seen a hot summer like what it is this year in Iraq. That's why people went to the street to demonstrate for lack of electricity, because it's exceeded by 2 or 3 degrees over 50 centigrade, which has never happened in Iraq for a very long period of time. Now, you don't expect an army to fight in such hazardous situation. That has delayed. The fighting continued, but is not according to plan. Now, after this, I think after the middle of, I think the weather became mild about 10 days ago only in the country, and we have started moving again.
When will you retake Ramadi?
I hope very soon. Now we are at the final. See, there are many stages. We have completed all the stages apart from the last one. The last one, you should get into the city itself. Now the city is almost encircled. And that is very important. We have delayed the tactics of Daesh. We have achieved a lot of victory over Daesh, tactical and real victory over Daesh. And Daesh now, they cannot hit back on us. If you remember, when we were in Ramadi, we've been giving casualties on daily basis. Now, not anymore, because we are the other way around. We are encircling them. We are not inside the city.
With all due respect, Mr. Prime Minister, I understand what you're saying about the weather, but you probably heard what the U.S. Defense Secretary said a few months ago. He said the Iraqi army didn't have the will to fight.
I cannot disagree more than with him. I think this is...
You think the will is there?
Yes, this is inaccurate, in actual fact, in my opinion, is a responsible comment by the minister, by the secretary. And I think the Iraqis, they have the will to fight, but it's just they have been subjected under very harsh circumstances. What Daesh has resorted in that time, that's the first time they used that tactic. They used massive track bombs, 30 or 25 to 30 of them, just in a very short period of time, which has caused a lot of havoc, a lot of casualties among these forces inside Ramadi. That's what forced them to withdraw.
What is also missing? You've called for international support, weapon, airstrikes, and so on. Some of your commanders have complained that the Americans are not providing enough air support. The Americans are saying you're not doing enough on the ground. What is missing in your assessments?
I think many things missing. You see, there is what our expectation was that we are going to get major help in this operation. This is a major operation. It's not a regular army fighting a regular army in one front. It's a regular army fighting terrorist organization who sometimes become like an army, and a lot of times they are terrorist organization. You have to find them in the desert, somewhere else. They're crossing the border from Syria to Iraq. We were expecting that the international coalition and the Americans will bring massive air cover to protect our forces and to support them in their fight. We haven't received that massive.
You're disappointed, obviously.
Of course, but now I have to live with it.
But you've talked to Barack Obama.
Exactly.
Are you telling him?
Well, I'm telling them that. They've now promised me to get more support. I mean, this is to do with the will. Do Western nation wants to be involved in this war to the full scale? Or do they just want to give enough for us just to achieve victory over some period of time? If we want to achieve a quick victory over Daesh because they are destroying our cities, destroying our citizens. But in order to do that quickly, we need major support. At the moment, we are getting support, but it's not major, it's limited. If you look in 2003, when the US Army got into Iraq, or after that, what we are getting at the moment is a small proportion of the air cover that was available then. Desert Storm and other things. This is only a very small proportion.
So there's a lack of political will to help you. Is that what you're saying?
I think there is. Now, public support in the West is high. I think these leaders, they are afraid that the more they are involved, the more casualties there will be, even among civilians inside Iraq and Syria, and the more there will be a public outcry against them in these capitals. I think that's probably what's withholding them. But by all honesty, I think leaders should take decisions. I know public opinion, you have to consider it, but you know the facts. If you allow Daesh to spread, nothing will stop it.
Foreign boots on the ground, is it out of the question? There's been talk of not Western boots, but maybe regional boots on the ground to try to win that decisive victory you're hoping for.
That will complicate things. To be honest with you, we have extended our hand to our neighbors. I think our relationship is much better than before, but still is not the best we want. And I think there is a lot of complications. In the past, neighbors usually, they have their own infighting when they come into an area. And I don't want to complicate
You don't
things.
want, I'm maybe exaggerating, but you don't want Iran and Saudi Arabia to fight in Iraq.
Well, of course, nobody would love that. Otherwise, they can score their differences on the Iraqi land, which I have now trouble, a huge task, to balance the international coalition with Iran as well. Because Iran is helping us, but Iran, they don't have soldiers, boots on the ground, they don't have any.
There are reports that there is a military presence of Iran in Iraq.
No, I think the number of Iranian experts and advisors, they don't exceed 110.
Because we've seen General Qasem Soleimani in Iraq. Openly?
Well, yes. I mean, there are U.S. and Western generals as well, but it doesn't mean they fight. They don't fight. They just giving us expertise, training, and the know-how, I think, which we very much welcome.
Is there, by the way, Iranian US or Iranian Western cooperation in Iraq without saying it?
There isn't anything I know of. I hope there is, because both are working in Iraq. And to remove any misunderstanding, I think they should talk across us at least. I think there are things which are at low level, but I'm not aware of anything direct.
Last question. When do you think you will be able to again claim that Iraq is united under a single flag, if ever?
I think we have moved a long way. If you remember last summer, Iraq was doomed. Everybody was thinking that Iraq has ended as a one state. Now I think there is more hope, more expectation that Iraq can be salvaged as one state, and I think we're doing that.
So you expect that one day soon you'll be able to go to Mosul again?
Yes, I think I'm waiting for that day very soon. We were hoping that we'll accomplish our task in al-Anbar, then we'll move to Mosul, but we have moved to Mosul sooner. We have established now a command center in Mosul to start our own operations there. We have army brigade there now, which is working in Mosul. We have recruits among the police. We have PMF forces in Mosul. And we have, of course, now locals, PMF locals in al-Anbar who are fighting alongside Iraqi security forces. Last summer, or prior to Daesh entering into Iraq, some of the locals, when considering Iraqi security forces as alien to them, they wanted them to be kicked out of their cities. Now people are siding with those security forces. They are helping with Iraqi security forces. They are fighting with Iraqi together. I think that's a huge change from before. And because of this, I think we're going to win. Because we have won the heart and the mind of the people of these areas.
Okay. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much for answering all our questions. Thank you for watching this exclusive interview here on France 24. Stay tuned for more news.